Welcome back, my fellow darkness dwellers, to another chilling episode of True Creepy Night Stories. Tonight we venture into the shadowy depths of the woods, a place where darkness reigns and whispers travel on the wind. Today we dive into the deep woods to uncover three terrifying true stories of people who heard unexplainable footsteps while camping. Those who dared to venture into the unknown, only to be met with the chilling sounds of footsteps echoing through the trees, footsteps that seemingly belonged to no one and nothing that should exist. Our first story takes us deep into the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, where a lone camper named David embarked on a solitary retreat seeking solace in the embrace of nature. David, an experienced outdoorsman, thought nothing could shake him. As darkness descended, casting long, eerie shadows across the forest floor, David retreated to his tent, the sounds of the crackling fire a comforting presence. The first night passed without incident, the silence of the woods only broken by the occasional hoot of an owl or the rustling of leaves. However, on the second night, as a thick fog rolled in, blanketing the forest in an ethereal mist, David's solitude was shattered. It began subtly, a soft, almost imperceptible sound like leaves crunching underfoot. At first David dismissed it as a nocturnal animal, but as the sound grew closer, circling his tent, a cold dread gripped his heart. The footsteps were slow, deliberate, and heavy, as if something massive was prowling just beyond the thin fabric of his tent. David lay frozen in his sleeping bag, his breath catching in his throat, his mind racing with terrifying possibilities. He dared not move, dared not even breathe, as the footsteps continued their relentless circuit around his tent. Time seemed to stand still, each second stretching into an eternity, as David lay trapped in a prison of his own fear. Then, as suddenly as they had started, the footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was deafening, amplifying every rustle and groan of the forest. David lay awake for the rest of the night, his eyes wide with terror, his ears straining for any sound that might signal the return of whatever lurked outside his tent. As dawn finally broke, casting its pale light through the trees, David wasted no time in packing up his campsite and fleeing the forest, his mind haunted by the memory of those chilling, unexplainable footsteps. He had gone into the woods seeking peace and solitude, but he emerged a changed man, forever marked by the terrifying encounter that had unfolded in the dead of night. The forest, once a place of refuge and tranquility, had turned into a realm of nightmares. David's story serves as a haunting reminder that the wilderness holds secrets and mysteries beyond our understanding. Even the most seasoned adventurers can find themselves at the mercy of the unknown, their courage tested in ways they never imagined. As David walked away from the forest, the morning sun casting long shadows behind him, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, that the forest had not yet released its grip on him. The experience left him with a profound respect for the untamed wild, a respect born out of fear and awe. Our next tale takes us to the serene shores of Lake Crescent, Washington, where the Thompson family, eager to escape the hustle and bustle of city life, embarked on a week-long camping trip. They had been planning this getaway for months, dreaming of nights under the stars and days filled with adventure. The family, consisting of John and Mary Thompson and their two young children, 8-year-old Emily and 6-year-old Michael, were filled with anticipation as they set up camp on the edge of the lake, surrounded by towering trees and the promise of adventure. The air was crisp, and the scent of pine filled their lungs, adding to the excitement. The first few days of their trip were idyllic, filled with swimming, fishing, and exploring the nearby trails. They laughed and played, creating memories that they thought would last a lifetime. However, on the fourth night, as the family gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows, an unsettling feeling descended upon them. The once comforting crackle of the fire now seemed to echo ominously in the still night air. It started with a strange feeling, a prickling sensation on the back of their necks, as if they were being watched. The children huddled closer to their parents, their laughter fading into uneasy silence. John dismissed it as their imaginations running wild, but as the night wore on, the feeling intensified. The forest, which had seemed so inviting during the day, now felt like a dark, impenetrable wall. Then they heard it, a distinct heavy thud, like something large stepping onto the soft earth just beyond the reach of their firelight. The sound was so out of place, so foreign, that it sent chills down their spines. The sound was followed by another, and then another, each step drawing closer to their campsite. The family exchanged worried glances, their earlier joy now replaced by a growing sense of dread. John, his heart pounding in his chest, grabbed his flashlight and shone it into the darkness. But the beam revealed nothing but the dense undergrowth and the silent, watchful trees. The forest seemed to swallow the light, offering no clues to the source of the noise. The footsteps continued to approach, slow and deliberate, until they seemed to be just a few feet away from the edge of their campsite. The tension was palpable, each second stretching into an eternity. The family sat in stunned silence, their eyes wide with fear, their breath catching in their throats. The night, once filled with the sounds of nature, now seemed to hold its breath along with them. Then, as suddenly as they had started, the footsteps stopped. The abrupt silence was almost as terrifying as the noise itself, leaving them to wonder what had been lurking just out of sight. An eerie silence descended upon the campsite, broken only by the crackling of the fire and the sound of their own ragged breathing. The night seemed to stretch on forever, each minute filled with an unbearable tension. John, his hand trembling slightly, slowly shone his flashlight around the campsite once more, but there was still no sign of whatever had made those chilling sounds. The forest remained an impenetrable wall of darkness. The rest of the night passed in a blur of fear and anxiety. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent their hearts racing. The children huddled close to their parents, their eyes wide with terror, as John and Mary tried to maintain a semblance of calm. They whispered reassurances, but their own fear was evident in their voices. As dawn approached, casting its first light on the lake, the family packed up their belongings and fled their campsite, their idyllic vacation transformed into a terrifying memory. The morning light brought little comfort, only a desperate need to leave. They had come to Lake Crescent seeking peace and tranquility, but they left haunted by the chilling sound of those unexplainable footsteps, a constant reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. The lake, once a symbol of serenity, now held a dark, unspoken secret. Chapter 3. The Group Hike. Our final story takes us to the dense, ancient forests of Redwood National Park, California, where a group of 5 college friends embarked on a weekend hiking trip, eager to experience the natural wonders of the Pacific Northwest. The group, consisting of Mark, Jessica, Chris, Emily, and David, were all experienced hikers, confident in their abilities and excited to tackle the challenging trails that lay ahead. The first day of their hike was uneventful, filled with breathtaking views of towering redwoods and the peaceful sound of birdsong. The forest seemed like a paradise, untouched and serene. As evening approached, they set up camp deep within the forest, their laughter and conversation echoing through the trees. They felt a sense of unity and joy, surrounded by nature's beauty. However, as darkness fell, a palpable shift occurred in the atmosphere. The once welcoming forest seemed to close in around them, the shadows growing longer and more menacing. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence replaced the earlier sounds of the forest. As they huddled around their campfire, sharing stories and jokes, a strange sound reached their ears. It was a faint, rhythmic thud, like something heavy dragging through the undergrowth. The sound was unsettling, breaking the tranquility of the night. At first, they dismissed it as a fallen branch or a nocturnal animal, But as the sound grew closer, their laughter died down, replaced by an uneasy silence. The forest seemed to be holding its breath, waiting. The footsteps were slow, deliberate and heavy, as if something massive was stalking them through the dense undergrowth. Mark, the most level-headed of the group, grabbed his flashlight and shone it into the darkness, but the beam revealed nothing but the impenetrable wall of trees and the thick, swirling fog that had descended upon the forest. The fog seemed almost alive, moving with a purpose. The footsteps continued to follow them, always staying just beyond the reach of their flashlight beams, as if whatever was making them was toying with them. It was a game of cat and mouse, with the hikers as the prey. Fear gripped the group as they quickened their pace, their backpacks feeling heavier with each step. The footsteps kept pace, their relentless pursuit sending shivers down their spines. The forest seemed to close in tighter around them. As the night wore on, the footsteps grew closer, the sound becoming more distinct, more menacing. It was as if the forest itself was alive and hunting them. The group was now in full-blown panic, their hearts pounding in their chests, their breath coming in ragged gasps. They could feel the presence of something unseen, something malevolent. They ran through the darkness, their flashlights bouncing wildly, their cries for help swallowed by the dense forest. Finally, as dawn approached, they stumbled out of the forest, exhausted, terrified, and forever changed by their harrowing experience. The forest had taken something from them, a piece of their innocence. They had gone into the woods seeking adventure and camaraderie, but they emerged haunted by the chilling sound of those unexplainable footsteps, a constant reminder that some places hold secrets best left undisturbed. The forest, with its ancient trees and hidden paths, had shown them a darker side of nature. Thank you for joining me on this spine-tingling journey into the heart of darkness. If you enjoyed these terrifying tales, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling stories. Sleep well tonight, my friends, and remember, the next time you go camping, you might not be as alone as you think. The woods hold many secrets, and some footsteps lead to nowhere.